Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and this little video is a sort of a follow-up, if you like, to the video I did the other day where I was talking about grafts being the weak point on many plants, including obviously in this case an avocado. And I did have a few people suggest to me, if I'm worried about the health of the plant, if I might be able to perhaps air layer the top of this again and grow it on its own roots. This is a Mexicola grand. We don't know what the rootstock is, but I believe it's probably Zutano, as that's very common in Europe, and it is quite a hardy rootstock. Now, I had various people, friends, suggesting, oh, why don't you air layer the top off the plant and then grow it on its own roots, and that is indeed a possibility. But I was going to just talk about why it may or may not be successful. Sorry if it goes in and out of focus, and also apologies for next door neighbour deciding to use power tools, I suppose because the weather's nice. Now this is the graft area on this one, which I pointed out had some scarring and damage on it, and the top of the plant, although it's green, doesn't look in the peak of health compared to my other grafted avocado, which is a bacon. However, I would say that we are in the depths of winter. This is being filmed early in February. Although I've had the plant in my kitchen, which obviously it didn't like, particularly it dropped quite a lot of leaves. I've now got it outside while the weather's mild, and I'll try and leave it outside except on nights when frosts or temperatures below freezing are forecast, because I don't particularly want to expose it to what I call extreme weather conditions, as it's such a young plant and it's grafted, which does weaken the plant. However, it's not the healthiest looking plant, but I'm not concerned yet. You can see some black damage there on the shoots, which can be caused by mechanical damage, cold damage, rot, stem rot, and all sorts of other issues. But a couple of people said to me, oh, why don't you air layer it? Well, I think that's probably not a good idea. When you're air laying, you really want to be trying to air layer on a plant that is very healthy, and ideally the stems need to be at least half an inch, and even better if they're an inch, and you have a nice firm bark on them you can remove. And if the plant's healthy, there's a lot of energy in the plant stored, which it uses to develop roots on the part where you've taken the bark off. Well, firstly, avocados are not the easiest of plants to air layer. They don't form roots as readily as a lot of other tropicals, and for the same reason it's actually pretty hard unless you've got perfect growing conditions. It's also very hard to root the cuttings as well, so that's why they're normally propagated by scions, which are taken off a plant like this and grafted onto a suitable rootstock. Now, these stems on here, part of the fact the plant's not in good health, these stems on here are very thin. They're probably just about a quarter of an inch, about the thickness of a pencil. So I have to say, I think the odds of them surviving an attempt at air layering are probably very low. And my concern, if I put extra strain on a plant that's obviously not in prime health, it could easily just end up killing the plant off completely, and I'd entirely lose my Mexicola grands grafted variety. And if I can honestly tell you that getting avocados, named varieties in the UK is absolutely impossible. I was just fortunate that a friend was able to smuggle this back from Europe in his car when he bought himself some plants back as well. So replacing it, if it dies, is going to be very difficult and expensive, because it would mean a trip to Europe to buy one and bring it back. So I don't think air laying is actually a viable option. What I might do, if I can keep the plant if I can keep it healthy and alive, and it doesn't die off in me in the next 2 or 3 months, then obviously I would expect to see new growth starting on here. You can see the growth buds, but they're not active at the moment. Come about March or April, then there's a good chance that if it's still alive, this will start to grow. Now, if that's the case, I may well decide to take 1 or more of these scions off, and try and graft them onto some seedling avocado rootstocks that I've got. I have a number of bacon and fuerte that I've been growing, which are a relatively hardy rootstock, probably slightly hardier than Hass actually, and I may try and take a couple of these shoot tips off and graft them onto my rootstocks in the hope that if they take, I would then have a backup Mexicola grand. And of course, taking the rootstock, the tips off these will of course cause them to branch out more anyway, so I should end up with a bushier looking tree. The graft is pretty high up on this. It's a good 2 feet above ground, so 60 centimeters above ground. It's not a low grafted plant, so it gives it quite a decent strong stem, but of course it does mean that you end up with quite a top heavy plant because the branching all occurs above the graft at the top of the plant. So that's my thoughts on these. I don't think I wouldn't consider air laying it because it's the wrong time of year. It's quite a weedy, sickly plant, and I just think it's going to end up killing the part that I've tried to air layer, and if not kill the whole plant as well, because it can cause rot to spread down the stem. So the way to go, if I can keep this healthy, will definitely be to take scions off it in late spring and try and graft them onto a rootstock. And should I do that, I will obviously make a video on it and see how we go. So that's my Mexicola grand. That's a little update on the video I did the other day talking about the grafts and the fact that they're the weak points, especially on the subtropical plants. Thanks for watching. Hope that was of interest to some people. Please do subscribe to my channel, share the video if you think it'll be useful, give me a thumbs up, and remember to click on the bell if you'd like to know when new videos come out. I will catch up with you all soon. Brett out for now.